The NFL offseason is always packed with shifts in power across the league.
That doesn't get old ever.
So far, the 2020 offseason has been crazy. Tom Brady moved on from the Patriots, and one of the most bizarre moves in NFL history took place. When Bill O'Brien sent arguably the league's best wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, to the Cardinals, and he didn't even get a first-round pick back.
You're the best in the game. I know. The dude right there said, hey man, I was gonna tell you, you're the best receiver in the game. I said, I know.
I'm pretty sure Houston Texans fans are still crying about that one, and fair enough. But that move already got a lot of attention. So instead, I'm going to shed some light on the second worst offseason of any team.
What? Oh no!
And who was the architect for his team's potential downfall? That's GM Ryan Pace of the Chicago Bears. In every sport, your window to win a championship is generally pretty short-lived. In Chicago, that window opened 2 years ago when they traded a boatload of picks for Khalil Mack. It helped change their defense into one of the best in the league. But after an unsuccessful 2019 season, the Bears need this offseason to retool. For Pace and head coach Matt Nagy, this might be their last chance. Let's start with what they did on the defensive side of the ball. Pace wanted to bolster the pass rush to help out Khalil Mack. So they went out and got Robert Quinn at the start of free agency. Quinn is coming off one of the best seasons of his career, tallying double-digit sacks for the first time in over 5 years. He'll be in Chi-Town for the next 5 years with a contract worth $70 million. Taking all that into account, this is a boom or bust deal. Quinn is almost 30, he's been a solid player, but an inconsistent one with durability issues. And he's just eating up more cap space that the Bears don't have. Not to mention, they're taking him away from defensive end and asking him to play outside linebacker, which may not produce the results of last season. Now, on the offensive side of the ball is where we see the real head-scratching deals. For $16 million and a no-trade clause, the Bears got 33-year-old Jimmy Graham, who hasn't had a good season in 4 years. This one reeks of desperation. The Bears felt they needed a tight end for their system due to the injury issues of Trey Burton and the bitter disappointment of Adam Shaheen. But once again, they overpaid for a player far past his peak and some injury questions to go along with a whole bunch of uncertainty. And what's worse, they could have spent just a little bit more cash on Austin Hooper, who has shown in recent memory to be a great tight end, and he's only 25 with a lot more room to get better, not worse. Why Pace thought this was a good deal? Who could say? And finally, we have the trade for Nick Foles. This one is just all kinds of bad. For starters, the Bears traded a 4th-round pick for Foles, once again leaving them with next to no draft capital and only 2 picks in the top 100 of this year's draft, which in some ways is good because they can hardly afford any more players on their roster anyway because of Foles' massive contract, a contract that actually makes him the second highest paid player on the team next to, guess who? Khalil Mack. During Foles' 8-year career, he hasn't even started 50 games, and he barely has a record above 500. What's even better, he's never started one single full season, and a lot of that has to do with injuries. Oh, and to help protect their new injury-prone QB, the front office has decided to add not a single notable player to the offensive line. In fact, they lost one when Kyle Long retired this year. So if you like Mitchell Trubisky, don't worry, you'll see him soon enough. There are so many problems with this move. It looks even worse when you look back at all the other options at quarterback this offseason. This may have been one of the most talent-rich free agencies with the sport's most important position ever seen. Tom Brady was available, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater, Ryan Tannehill, and Jameis Winston all entered free agency. Yes, there's a few there you could argue are just as questionable as Foles, but maybe Pace and Nagy could have built around them better. That is, if they didn't want to give up their draft picks so badly. I mean, I get it. the trade up for Trubisky could traumatize anyone. But if you think about it, the Jags had no leverage when it came to Foles. They had no buyers, and they were ready to give up on him after one season. If Chicago had at least waited for the Jags to cut him, they wouldn't have had to give up anything, and they may have been able to sign him for less. Or they could have looked at Cam Newton, whose team also had absolutely no leverage whatsoever, and actually did end up releasing him. Unlike Foles, Newton has actually started a full NFL season before, been an MVP, and just in general has way more upside. Look, I get it. I'm not an NFL GM or head coach with a metric ton of pressure on my shoulders, and maybe this offseason ends up fixing things the way they hope. But when you see just how many other directions Pace and Nagy could have gone to bring back the monsters of the Midway, it just leaves you wondering, what could have been? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends, and remember to subscribe to Lingo Sports for more great videos like this. Take care.